All right. I think we are live. I think I did that right for the second time in a row. All right. What's up, everyone? Looks like we got a decent amount of people rolling in here. So why don't we get started? Hey, I want to thank you, beautiful 40-something-year-old men that have joined me for this exciting Star Wars chat. This is our rescheduled live stream that we were going to have in December. So thank you all for being patient with us and coming back to join us again. And if I may, just want to give a shout out to Tim and his family that we're glad that everything's okay with your wife and
cheers, buddy.
Things are on the mend. So.
Thanks, man. Yeah, cheers. All good now, hopefully.
Cheers, dude. Let me just introduce all of these again, lovely 40-something-year-old gents that I have with me here. They're like the all-stars of the Star Wars collecting community. If I can, I have Tom Brady, aka Tuna, Chris Swansky over here, also known by one famous Hasbro member as the Big Tuna.
The Big Tuna. And I prefer if everybody refers to me as that. Also, I only have one more year of being a 40-year-old man, so I gotta soak it up. This is my last one.
Ooh.
Nice. And we have from across the pond, our buddy, the David Beckham of the Star Wars collecting community. And if maybe I didn't say David Beckham, who would be your football player that you would look up to?
Oh man, it'd be someone from the 80s. Like, I don't know. I hate to say it, Gary Lineker was my hero when I was a kid, but you probably don't know who that is. But
nope.
He's not such a desirable person these days, unfortunately. He's got some dodgy views and whatever. He's a bit controversial, but yeah.
Well, welcome, my friend. Thank you for being on with us.
Cheers, man. Yeah, appreciate it.
And then from the great north, is it Midwest North? Where would we be?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. The land of 1,000.
Yeah, the Great White North is pretty much it if you're not in Canada.
Great White North, that's right. We have the Tony Hawk.
Oh, thank you.
He can still do kick flips, folks.
I'll take that.
No. This was shaping up to Kirk Cousins. You got to keep the metaphor going.
No.
So, hey, thanks for coming on, Jason.
No problem.
Great to have you on. So appreciate you guys all taking time on your Saturday away from your families, which I'm sure they could probably use a break from you. And sorry if I'm taking anyone away from some good old American football playoffs, but we got DVR these days and other ways. Chris is probably watching it right now and not even listening to me. Yes, he is. So
it's not on yet.
It's not on yet.
No.
So why don't we just quickly go through and just see all of the folks here coming on. 3DPO Customs, hello. All right, our friends, SWTVC, what's up, guys? All right, we got Des T. Nice, we got tons of people here. All right, we got our buddy Space Hut. Oh, I don't know how to click on. There he is. Who else we got here?
Lots of familiar names in there for me.
Lots of names in there. Give some shout outs, Tim.
GA, Delvian Seek, James Andrews, Universal Collector, Geek Strong. That's all I can see on there at the moment. But yeah, there's loads coming in.
All right, I gotta address this one right here.
Straight away.
Jeez. Just rip the Band-Aid off.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
I've not heard of Black K yet for vintage collection.
Not yet, but as we can see with and we'll get to it, but there's definitely some fit. We're going to talk about the Book of Boba Fett, the show, its reception, and we'll talk about what figures from the show we're clamoring for, and that's obviously a pretty big one right now. All right, so who else we got here? Yeah, a lot of great. All right, JD. What's up, JD? Cool, man. Awesome. All right. So before we get into our discussion, I thought it would be great to just kind of go around and just discuss what type of collector we are. A lot of people are strictly carded. They're strictly loose. And then there's those of us that kind of are in the middle that collect both carded and loose. So I'd love to go around. Why don't we start with Tim? What type of collector are you, my friend?
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, for money wise, it's not great. I'm a carded and loose collector of modern and vintage Star Wars. So yeah, I would say I've probably got more modern than I have vintage, because obviously the amount of figures that came out. But yeah, I've done all right, I guess.
Nice. And you collect mostly 3 3/4. Do you collect anything else?
Oh yeah, strictly. Well, I say strictly. I've got a couple of Black Series figures, but the minute. So, for example, with the Heavy Mando, for example, I've got that on my shelf as a Black Series figure, and the minute they bring that out in the vintage collection, then he'll be put away. Yeah, 3 3/4 is pretty much all I have.
Awesome. What about you, Jason?
I collect a lot of stuff. Vintage collection, yes, both modern and original.
Nice.
Like even I pick up stuff all the time as far as original vintage stuff. I like mini rigs, stuff like that. I haven't picked up an actual vintage figure from the original line in quite a while, just for the fact that I have all the ones that I want or can afford. But like I pick up the mini rigs. Like recently I picked up the Endor Forest Ranger. It was towards the middle of last year. I picked up like the sand skimmer, that one. Yep.
Cool.
But mostly it's, I balance things between vintage collection, Black Series. I pick up Hot Toys here and there when something strikes my fancy,
I'm falling down that rabbit hole.
Funko. Just because of the variety. And Funko I used to be really hard into back when there wasn't as much vintage stuff coming out. But with the volume of products they put out, I just couldn't do that too. So I was more picky and choosy and would just grab some exclusives that I liked, or if you could get like the whole Bad Batch crew, I would pick up stuff like that so you could establish a whole main crew that way.
Yeah.
Outside of Star Wars, I do some Marvel Legends. I do G.I. Joe classified series. Looking around here.
Anything that catches your eye, that catches your fancy.
Right. Something I find a good deal on,
Yep.
But that's nice. where I mainly focus, though, is Star Wars, obviously. But I do have some other side interests that bleed in sometimes when I've got an extra bit of cash to blow.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Some of the Ghostbusters stuff for me, the Jurassic Park stuff, I dabble in. Anything that kind of brings us back to that time.
Right.
And yes, Hot Toys is a dangerous game. It's very dangerous. And what about you, Tuna? What do you got?
I don't know if you remember the movie The Jerk, when he's doing the weight guessing, and they go, "What can we win?" And he goes, "Anything on these shelves here. Well, anything on these 2 shelves. Anything in these 2 inches right here. This is what you can win." That's my collecting. 3 3/4 inch super articulated Star Wars. That's it. And that's why I'm always angry, because there's never enough. And that's a little bit of a fib. I have started picking up some of the role-playing stuff for Black Series. I really like the Force FX Elite with the detachable blades. I think those are really cool because they're so displayable. You display the hilt and, store the blade for when you want to play Star Wars. But that's pretty much, and it's as you can see if I can go the right way. The corrected readout Boba Fett over my shoulder. So I collect both loose and carded. And right now, I have to say, not having a Star Wars room at the moment, soon to be built, not having a Star Wars room, I have more carded than loose right now. Since in the past year, I've been keeping more carded than loose.
Yeah.
Once I get that space built out, then we'll start ripping some stuff open.
Nice. If you need a little help, let me know.
Come on up.
A couple hours south of you. Nice. And I'm just wondering, have there been any TVC Make-A-Wish Foundation requests coming out your way to find something on the pegs?
There was. Well, I found the Emperor, so that was good.
Yeah.
I mean, Bib Fortuna, obviously. That's Bib Fortuna was really one of the last ones, because as I indicated, I think I'm the oldest one member on this chat. I did not get anything post 83. So when I was a kid, I was cut off in 83, so I didn't get any of the 84 figures. So like Bib Fortuna and those first Jedi figures, really the last ones I remember. And I did find the Emperor, but I never bought that. I think that was an 84 figure as well. I got the mail away for the Emperor. I never saw it on the peg. So Bib Fortuna would be a nice one to find. And unfortunately, one per case. I don't know what my odds are of that. Never found the power droid. It's still a hole in my heart.
It's tough. I've never. I think I was mentioning to Victoria in the podcast I did with her recently that a lot of the big sought after figures I've never seen on the pegs. I did finally see an Emperor. I saw a Tebow. Well, the Tebow was a short pack figure, but I never saw a Boba Fett. Mandalorian. I never saw any of those. Nice. Yeah. Should just bubble crush one of those right now.
I can't do that. I have like an OCD thing where I have to cut it off with a razor blade. It's just like I cannot. That's not true. That is actually not true. If I've got like a dozen of them and I plan on opening, if it's like a bunch of Jawas or something, I will, because I always save the card backs. Even if I've got 20 of them, I keep all the card backs. But if it's something that I know I just have way too many of, I will tear it off, and it's just like, oh god, that feels so good.
Feels so good. I'm with you there. There's times where the card's pretty mint. I'm like, man, I don't know if I can do that on this one. But if it's destroyed, game over. It's game on for it. I was actually going to ask you guys, like, hey, you guys all want a bubble crush one on this episode? But then I thought
I'll bubble crush one.
Yeah.
Right. I've got Emperors coming. Bubble crush an Emperor.
Yeah, I might have had a. Would you bubble crush that?
I probably would. I've got a few of them.
What about Chris? Chris is showing a Lando. Are you willing to?
Oh, not a Lando.
Lobot?
I'm sorry, Lobot.
No.
Well, let me.
Oh, actually, yeah. There's some. I can feel a crease right there.
Let me grab a figure. Hold on, Tim.
Oh, I've probably opened everything.
I'm grabbing something right now. We're gonna do this.
I might have to run to my other stack to see if I have a.
Look at me. I'm like looking at. Yeah.
This one. Yeah, we'll crush this one.
We'll crush this guy.
Hang on, just a second.
Tim's searching the room.
I don't have one. I don't have one in this room. Sorry.
Just use a vintage figure. Tim, just grab a vintage figure. You don't have to be.
Just pull. Let's see here. What do you got up there? You got probably like what can we pull off there? Pull off like one of the Han Solos that's like a terrible sculpt, like Endor Han. Just pull them off. It's fine. I'll send you a mint unpunched one. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Tuna crushing beers and Lando.
Like stuff like this where I've got like here's Jow.
Not beers yet.
Jows.
Yeah, he's got to save room for later.
Oh, here we go. Here's another Tebow.
I'm having some good high quality H2O
Ah,
from
I
Bobby
love it.
Boucher.
Look at Jason. He's just got a stack of TVC over there.
I've got a lot.
I got a couple cases of these. Hashtag pallets, Tim.
Yeah, I don't doubt it, my friend.
All right. Oh, he's diagnosing.
I'm just gonna watch you all try and do it.
Just checking it out.
God, these are all really good.
I only have a couple T-bows, and I do have a couple open because I have a pretty sweet custom head one. But man, it's like, should I have ordered more of those?
That one's damaged.
All right, who's doing this with me?
Right.
How do you
This
do
is the
it?
one-handed bubble crush.
So I just line up and I just squeeze like hell.
All right, hold on.
You ready?
Okay,
Oh.
You got the flick. Yeah.
there you go.
Yes.
Yeah, I gotta do the flip too.
You guys made my year doing that. Thank you. Tim, for supporting it. Thank you.
See, I can,
Maybe Tim, on one of your Boston Brownies. By the way, you have beautiful hands. I want you to know that. Do you get them manicured every now and then just to make sure everything's on point?
oops.
No, man, obviously I absolutely love your videos. Maybe you can do a bubble crush on one of your.
I have thought about it, but I'm like Jason. You see, whenever I do a review, even if the card's mank, I'll still like lever it off with a knife.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice I haven't opened one of these guys yet, so I have a couple of them from 1.0, but
There's another tree. There it is.
it's nice to open some more of these guys. It would be great while I'm talking about this if we got a Tauntaun handler with an updated head sculpt, maybe. What do you think?
That could be a candidate for one of the troop builder packs, right?
Oh, there you go. Great idea. Right. And all you really need with that is just an updated head sculpt with I think the hat. I think that's all.
I feel like the hat's out there too, isn't it? Didn't
I have one. I don't know if it's out there from Hasbro. Let me grab them. But this is one of the last things I got from Stan before the poor guy passed away. But he molded that himself and then sculpted it and then molded it himself and sent a couple copies. So
You need the commander to come in that 4-pack, though, wouldn't you? And then they could put him on a single card as well. Tick off the old 96.
that's a great point, Tim. What do you think of that? Chris, what do you think about that?
Why not? Go for it.
Why isn't this Ewok a deluxe considering all the parts he has?
and that's a good. We should we could get into that topic right now because that's one of the topics we had here for discussion. Right? Is the what's it called? The bounty. I always get it mixed up. The
Bring home the bounty.
Bring home the bounty. There we go. Had a bunch of different figures announced, right? And most of those were deluxe figures, right? For TVC, we had the Stormtrooper with web cannon. We had the Incinerator Trooper with Grogu and a bunch of fire and flames. We had Ahsoka Corvus with her owl and lantern and her robe, if you will, her whatever. And then we had Boba Fett from the Book of Boba Fett with some Stormtrooper helmets, a detachable rocket for his rocket pack and some flames for, I'm sorry, his jet propulsion effects. Did I capture everything?
I think so.
And since you brought that up, I think Tebow has 8 or 9 accessories. Obviously, he's a figure that's been in the line. That's pretty much a repack. And
Yep.
we had deluxe figures that ranged in price from what, 20?
Yeah, 20 to 26.
Yeah, 20.49 to I think 26.49 American dollars, US dollars. So how do you guys feel about those the price point? I know the build up pack that came out in what 2021 or the end of 2020 was 17, I think 69 or something like that. And then, obviously a lot of things with inflation and the cost of everything out there going through the roof with COVID and supply constraints. We saw a price point of 2096 or 20, I think it was 2096 now that I'm thinking of it. Anyway, $20 to $21. And then you had the Book of Boba Fett released for almost $27 with tax in Massachusetts. It's $28.
Yep.
What are your guys' feelings on that? Does it make sense? Where is the right price point? Tim, I'll start with you.
Oh, go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
Sorry.
Well, first of all, I was quite pleased with the price of the first 3 that were announced. So $20, £20, or whatever they end up being. I think that's not too bad. What's that, $4 or $5 more than your average standard figure? You get all those extra little bits, which is okay. I quite like the boxes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I prefer carded figures, but I'm happy when the vintage collection has more and different expressions, I guess you call them, within it. So,
Yep.
I remember those 2 packs and things like that with the ATST drivers and the Ewoks and stuff like that. So, I think anything like that shows the progression of the line, if you like, that they're thinking outside the box. Same with the these things, the 4-pack, they're good as well. The Fett one, I was a little bit surprised, I've got to admit. Fett tax, they call it, don't they? Is it, the Incinerator Trooper and the Stormtrooper are existing figures already, aren't they? But with rocker ankles. And the Ahsoka has already been done, and she's just been given a poncho, isn't it? So I guess the only one that's a brand new figure in that expression is the Fett. But will we get him on a single card, like a proper carded figure? I hope so, because he'll go very nicely with Fennec. So I don't really know what to make of that, really. I was shocked that it was that much more, I've got to say. But what can you do?
Yeah, no, great points. Chris, how do you feel?
Well, I forgot what the exact math was, but wasn't it 80? It's 80% more. The Boba Fett's 80% more than a basic figure, I believe, somewhere around there, give or take. That's not inflation. That's well outstripping inflation. Excuse me. So that's not just an inflationary thing, and it just doesn't seem that the value's there. John, privately, we always have these conversations. I don't usually gripe about price points. It costs what it costs. We argued about the Black Series Rancor when you said there's a perceived value thing. I'm like, well, that's what it costs. So I don't get to that. But with this one, it's hard to perceive. And when I originally wrote about it, I'm like, I think it's a mistake. I think they accidentally picked up the Maldo crease price. Somebody accidentally picked up the Maldo crease price and applied it to that Boba Fett. It feels like the Boba Fett should be $21, like the 3 that you have on screen right now. And that would kind of make sense. But the $27 is just out of the park. But then I told you one of our readers in Germany said that all of them in Germany are priced at the equivalent of that $27 price point. So I'm actually worried that the $21 was the mistake, and they were all supposed to be that $26.49, which is, that's hard. For those for the E-Web Canon, I'm fine with that. For the extra flame effects with the grow, I'm fine with that. But for the Boba Fett, for basically, some flame effects and two helmets, it's tough. It's a tough sell to me.
Yeah.
So Chris, just quickly, like someone in Germany, you said it's somebody in Germany that said
Yes.
that, right? So
Yeah,
they don't have Hasbro Pulse, do they? So
correct.
They're getting it off like some kind of retailer.
Right.
Whereas in the UK we do have Hasbro Pulse, and the price is the same as in the US. As in like the difference between the two.
Right.
20 quid, £26 or whatever.
Yep.
So that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, like I said, I'm worried that that the Boba Fett has the correct price on it of all of them, if that's what they did in Germany.
Yeah, and that's just something people have to get used to, that if this is if this is what it takes to for obviously Hasbro to be profitable, and whatever retailer wants to take it to be profitable, it's something that a lot of us have to change our mindset on. So time will only tell with that. Jason, do you have any insight into that, or any thoughts?
Well, like you guys mentioned, it's like we were talking about how we thought the price had to be wrong. I wasn't too off put by the three that are Walmart exclusive. Exclusives anyway always cost more, so you figure in a couple of those dollars for that are the exclusive markup, as they say. I think the best value one of those three was the Stormtrooper one, because you were getting that cannon, and they kind of I would say set a cost basis where they could kind of spread out the costs to developing these over an assortment, which these are kind of, and so some might cost more to develop and have more of a value than, say, the Ahsoka, which doesn't really have all that much new to it other than the small unarticulated parts, the ball and the light or whatever she else comes with, the owl and Grogu himself. And those, like, Grogu is a repaint,
right,
for the most part. So I could see that $20, like I said, that $20 price point doesn't really bother me all that much for those. The Boba Fett one does, as Chris said, it just seems way too high for what you're getting. Granted, it's an all new figure. There's no way that, I don't see them not releasing that figure again outside of that pack. So you could keep that cost down, because you're going to get reuse out of that mold
right
again somehow.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe based on when that Boba Fett one is being released compared to these three, I don't remember what the time differential is. Does the Fett one come out like way late this year compared to these Walmart ones?
I can't remember, to be honest, when it comes out.
I think before the shipping issues, the Fett was scheduled for a March release. So I don't think that's
year.
Yeah. So I don't know whether, in reality, that's probably going to become, October, the way things are trending. But
right.
I think it was originally scheduled for a March release.
And yeah, I'm curious to see if he really is an all new tool, if he's not leveraging some of the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. I have no idea, but I guess I made an assumption that it was possibly a kit bash. So
yeah, I don't know. I'd have to. There might be some share part, like the gauntlets or something. Something that would have to be, or could be shared, I suppose. But the legs would look to be new enough, and the torso, I think, just his build is different compared to that figure. Unless they got away with just doing it in the overlays like they've been doing with the Black Series. I don't know. but I don't think they work that small with those.
Yeah. Interesting.
And who's to say that? I mean, like was mentioned, the pricing changes that have gone through over the past year have affected all of the lines. As far as the Black Series costs a little bit more, the Vintage went up $1. Maybe they're building those. It's hard to say without saying too much.
Don't hold back, Jason. Come on, give it to us.
Just let it happen.
I wouldn't pretend that there aren't going to be any more price hikes coming in over the next year or so. I mean, just you see it everywhere. It's not just toys, so it shouldn't surprise anyone that things cost more now, and they are going to cost more still. I mean, we're not paying less for a lot of things, and it's not going to go down anytime soon. And I expect our favorite toys are going to be affected in very much the same way this year. So expect to pay. Is it going to go up another jump like it did last year where Vintage Collection went up $1? I don't think it'll go like that, but it's going to probably go up something. And maybe that's kind of how they were thinking of that price point with that Fed is, hey, we're going to have to plan for these eventual price increases. These are some of the products that are going to come out during that time, so we are going to price it as such.
Yeah, a lot of great points there. Hey, man, you see it at the grocery store, right? I mean, that's the place you probably see it the most is a lot of these price hikes. The grocery store, the gas station, a lot of those things. So, and I know in the customizer community, resin has gone up a tremendous amount. So printing anything and doing those customs has definitely gone up in value. So, and Chinese labor keeps going up, or foreign labor.
The shipping's gone loony,
right.
Isn't it?
The shipping has gone loony. They're doing air freight shipping can't be cheaper than boat, right? So
what do you guys think of the actual? Forget the price for a moment, but the fact that they're packing, they're doing this, and do you think it's like, hey, get used to these because this is what our non-plastic's going to be looking like in a year's time or whatever?
It could be.
Oh, Jason, you're on mute.
Sorry. I don't mind this style of packaging at all. Obviously, because they've actually put some effort into designing a scene that these figures are in. That can't be inexpensive to do as far as having a special photo shoot for each figure. Whereas, Vintage Collection that we're used to is a film still or a rendering of some sort. But if that's where Vintage Collection goes in the future, I would be fine with it.
Maybe.
Obviously, probably a little bit different form factor, or the price is $20 for a vintage figure, and this is the box that you get, but you get a little bit extra too. I don't know.
Yeah, is that adding to the price increase? Yeah, and Chris, I think you were going to say something.
Oh, I don't remember now.
But yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because the deluxe line was multiple figures and additional accessories, right? And this is just a figure with some additional accessories, so it's a little different in that aspect.
Well, I remember what I was going to say is, and Jason made me think of this as he was talking. That Boba Fett might be trapped in the fact that it's a mainline item, so the price is consistent across the line. We've always we see that with the mainline. Going back to when the Gamorrean Guard first came out, you had the Gamorrean Guard, which presented tremendous value for the same price as Bar 2D2, which people were like, we don't, they averaged across the products. So I'm wondering if maybe that Boba Fett got caught when was elevated to the higher product, which also had a price increase, so it's not quite on the same level as the other offerings in that SKU or whatever it's called. That price point.
you bring up a great point, because I think they mentioned they answered on one of the Q&As that, you know, deluxe figures are warranted by either the size of the figure, the deco, which I think was a first time they really kind of mentioned deco, and I think accessories. I'm forgetting now, but I feel like they mentioned three things, and yeah, we've kind of come to know, and I think they were talking about Cobb Vanth and just how much paint deco he has. He has more than any other figure. I think Chris might have mentioned, Chris from Hasbro might have mentioned that he has more paint deco than Boba Fett. I forgot what he said. I might be wrong there, but anyway, he kind of was justifying that it depends, and it's usually because of these three things. And as we know with Boba Fett, yeah, he typically has a pretty extensive paint deco with a lot of different breaks and paint and all of that stuff. So, and the jetpack, all of that stuff. So, was that kind of where that was steered towards? But if you got him in the main line with all of that, a couple of those accessories, it'd be a $14 figure. There it is.
That's the thing with these deluxe figures. It's quite, I think it's quite a hard sell to the sort of general collector that doesn't really think about paint apps and this, that, and the other. You know, it's just like I'm buying a figure. You know, why is it $7 or $8 more than X, Y, or Z? You know, and you might think, oh well, it's because it's got more paint apps than, you know, it's an all new sculpt, plus it's got all these different paint applications, blah 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 blah. But the average, I don't know if the average person really thinks about that or cares about that. They just, you know, wonder why their figures are so much more expensive. A lot of people in the chat are also saying about the packaging, like the original 96 figures, you know, they wouldn't want those in that packaging. And I kind of agree with that. I think, you know,
yeah,
it's got to, you know, for those figures, if they are going to be changing the packaging eventually to those box style things, if and when they ever do an original 96 figure that uses the same card image as something from the 80s, then it should have a bubble, and, you know, it should look as close to what you know, that's the whole point of it, isn't it? The vintage collection, that's kind of half. I think they would lose quite a few people, to be honest, if they got rid of it. But yeah,
it's always a interesting topic to say what percentage of the community is carded only and what percent is loose only, and then obviously there's a lot of us in between that. But sometimes I think half the community, sometimes I think 2/3 of the community could be carded collectors.
Well, I could see 2/3 of the purchases being carded.
There's a good way to put
it. There's some times where, you know, I've fallen into the, you know, when it's just for me, not for any other purpose, like for Bantha Skull or anything, I fall into the, you know, one loose, but I've been getting 2 carded in case something happens, you know, to one. It's the, you know, the Horatio Bobby Moynihan when they did that commercial on SNL for Saturday, you know, for The Force Awakens, you know, 1 loose, 1 open, and 1 just in case. That's me. And, you know, if I'm not going to care about the carded ones, my purchases go down by 2/3, not by half. They go down by 2/3 in that case.
And then you've got John, that's, you know, 1 carded, 1 loose, and a pallet just in case.
Yeah,
you know,
sealed case, because he flexes on all of us.
I'm going to therapy. Yeah, and, you know, moving into the customizer world, it's, you know, you stack a couple more just in case you can use this figure for making another figure. So that's part of my problem. And, you know, for trades down the road, you never know. You know, you might have a difficult time getting something, and you can use it as trade bait. So, yeah, I agree. There's a specific collector out there that all of us, you know, we look at the vintage collection to pay homage to, and that product is part of the toy.
Mm.
So it's part of it. So
as I say, I'm glad they've done something else with it. I think the core product should be carded figures, but I do like, you know, I do like this sort of thing. Just because it, as I say, I think it shows the way it's moved on a bit, and it's become, you know, the popularity of it, that they can produce these things. I like the fact that they're doing that. I wish we'd get a few more vehicles. I think that's the thing that's lacking these days. But I'm all for that kind of stuff. But as I say, you know, the carded figures for me has got to remain.
yeah, and I think they know that, right? So you know, this deluxe expression, yeah, it's something new, and we'll see where they take it. But you know, definitely it can't be completing certain figures we want without that, you know, from an original 96 perspective, without having it on a bubble and on a regular mainline card. TVC heard it all, right?
I think a good example is that Boba Fett. So, you know, whether you sort of know these things are coming, or you're anticipating them, or if it's a total shock when they announce it, you know, you might have heard, you know, I've heard this rumor of a deluxe Boba Fett. You know, I immediately think of like the Maldo Kreese type effort. You know, I didn't think it'd be in a box like that. And I think a lot of the comments on my videos are like, well, I've got this, you know, I'm going to be able to get this lovely Fennec Shand on a card back, and I would really like Boba Fett to be sitting there next to her on my wall or whatever. And when and if is that ever going to happen? Or you know, is this, as Jason says, it'll probably come out in some other way. But I find it a bit weird to bring that product out first before the carded version of him, to be honest. But
when they said deluxe Boba Fett, when you were saying, Tim, when it was rumored, I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to be the kind of the Tuscan Boba Fett that you could then put the armor on. You could do like a 2-for-1. That's what I was thinking deluxe Boba Fett would be. I'm like, yeah, I would gladly pay a deluxe price for that if I had, you know, one figure that could do two, you know, one figure that could do two different configurations.
Yeah.
For, what was that? Was that Tython? Was that the episode where you could take him through the entire look of that episode with one figure? That's what I was assuming we were getting.
Yeah, Tython. Yeah, that would have been pretty cool. And look what we're seeing in the Book of Boba Fett, with him putting his armor on and all that type of stuff. So it kind of lends to both now. And I know, I mean, from a couple thoughts. From a marketing perspective, it's like, let's get the deluxe one out first and get them to buy that.
Maybe, yeah.
Then we'll get it on a mainline card, and you know, the card collectors will buy that. So, kind of, you can see kind of their business angle there. I don't know if you guys think that's at all the case, but
I wouldn't be surprised. You know, it's just like with anything. Why make one when you could make two for twice the price? You know, it's kind of like that saying. What was that movie? Contact.
Yeah,
I think that's where it was from. But yeah, they're gonna offer up multiple versions of Boba Fett, you know, this whole year and next. You know, I think, well, it would be in their best interest to, I mean, strike while the iron's hot, right? You know, try to get as many Boba Fett related products that are topical for the show out now. I mean, you'd think that they'd be just on top, you know, like with past Midnight Madnesses and stuff, there was product ready to go for a lot of those things, and now it's just like they're playing catch up, you know, with the past, you know, 2 seasons of Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. I don't expect it to be too much different for, you know, Kenobi and Andor and whatever else, what other, you know, Disney Plus shows. They'll just be always kind of that year behind.
Yeah, and I know that was
maybe a figure here or two, you know, kind of like with Fennec Shand and stuff. They'll announce stuff right at the beginning, but you know, to kind of correlate with the launch of the show. But we won't get them for months. You know, we won't have anything day of launch like they do with some of the other Disney properties.
It's almost like they're waiting to see if it's a success or not, isn't it? It's like the Mandalorian's clearly a success, so they're going all in. I mean, we're getting, you know, even to the point where people are saying not another figure from the Mandalorian. Whereas, to be honest, I'll take everything I got from that show because I love the show. The fact that there's more shows coming and I want that stuff as well is the problem.
Right.
But you know, it's almost like because we'll probably come on to the Book of Boba Fett later, but there's already some people that are like, well, I'm not really too sure about this show, so you know, or it hasn't hit home as much as the Mandalorian has, for example. So, you know, imagine if they'd like dumped 20 figures on you from this show, you know.
And do you blame them for taking a wait and see approach? Because no one complained about Snoke being 2 per case in the launch wave. No one did before the movie came out. Then everybody saw the movie and they hated the figure, and it's synonymous, you know, for TVC 2.0. That's synonymous with peg warmer. So I don't, in some respects, I don't blame them for taking a little bit of a wait and see approach, unless it's an evergreen bona fide figure like Boba Fett, you know, or you know, Fennec Shand was already established. You know, I don't blame them in that respect, especially because I still feel, you know, TVC is one bad peg warmer away from, you know, going away again. That's my fear.
Right, and even with Fennec Shand, you know, that's being released on a Book of Boba Fett card only because they were already working on it for the Mandalorian. You know,
right.
It's like, just like how, you know, the deluxe Fett coming out for Black Series isn't really from the Book of Boba Fett. It's more from the end of the Mandalorian. So they're just packaging it just to have something to represent the show.
Yeah. Fennec has spread across 3 shows now, right? Bad Batch,
right?
Yep.
Mandalorian, and the Book of Boba Fett. So it's like, hey, just, you know, give them something they want, even though it's not at launch of the show, but you know, it's she will be available at some point. So.
If they are going to do this trickle approach, though. You know, with Fennec, like as Jason said, that Fennec was probably already planned for Mandalorian. But you know, if we just look for Boba Fett, Fennec and Boba Fett, they interact with one another.
Yeah.
So that's fine. If they're gonna do this trickle approach, just make sure that whatever that little trickle is, they all go together. Because I can't stand the Rise of Skywalker wave we have, where it's, you know, all these figures in isolation. One Knight of Ren, great. What am I gonna do with that? You know.
Yep.
You know, make sure that they're, you know, especially for 3 3/4 inch, you know, not that's more of a Black Series sensibility where it's more of a, you know, figure focused line instead of a world focused line. If it's vintage collection, they've got to interact with one another. It's not world building if they don't.
Yeah, I mean, who's the girl in that they released with the double
Zori Bliss?
Yeah. So the you know, where's Poe? I mean, if you're gonna have her, you need Poe, don't you? I mean.
And you need her X-wing, you know, you need all the other stuff too.
Yeah.
I mean, Y-wing, excuse me, Y-wing.
The Y-wing.
Hopefully I got a correction before I got 10 people calling me an idiot in the comments.
I almost said it.
I forget she had a Y-wing. Nice. Yeah, great. You know, it's a great conversation. And, you know, just to go back really quick to the deluxe figures, I know a lot of people were worried that if you actually did find these on the pegs, that potentially there could be, you know, somebody returning it with either not the correct figure back in the package or, you know, things missing. And I think that's, you know, that's the case with anything that doesn't have a bubble. But you see things hanging on the pegs. Like recently we had one of those people are posting the 10-year posts where they're posting a photo of themselves 10 years ago. And then one today, somebody posted there was 2 Landos on the pegs. And one of them was like, which one was it? Was it the Power of the Force 2 Lando in a bubble? I forget what it was. And then next to the new TVC Lando, they tagged it with the 10-year post. But anyways, it's always a concern with that type of stuff that, you know, there's going to be some theft.
Yeah. Well, I think even I thought I saw on Facebook in the in the vintage collection group that someone had bought the Merrick X-Wing, and there wasn't the Merrick in it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, and somebody bought a Tanit 4 playset from Amazon, the $30 special right now, and they didn't get a Rebel Fleet Trooper in there.
Yep, I saw that too.
So yeah, it's definitely. I'll be honest. When I bought another Merrick's X-Wing, I was worried, and at one point I helped somebody out, and I was going to ship it to Florida, and I was like, "Do you mind if I open this and inspect it first?" And they were like, "What?" And I had to kind of explain to them, like, "Look, it almost looks tampered with. I just want to check." And they actually let me do it, and it was fine. But yeah, that's always the issue with that. And then from a marketing standpoint, man, don't you just want to show off the figure and all the stuff?
Right.
I appreciate the toy photography. It is amazing. And I love it, you know. Geez, if I could, like, this is some amazing toy photography, but like part of you just wants to see the actual figure. That makes it tough. No. Nice. So what do we got here in some of the comments here? It was Power of the Jedi Land. Oh, yes, John. Yes, it was.
That was a great figure for the time.
Yeah.
Yes, it was that one. It wasn't the Power of the Force one. That's right. Thank you, John. And I know you said hello earlier, so good to see you on, Mister at the Vintage Concepts. Does some great card art. So yeah, why don't we shift
as Brett, my partner in Bantha Skull says, John's TVC page is like the Boulevard of Broken Dreams. All these figures we should have, all those mock-ups he does, and we don't get.
Yeah, great point. And by the way, I want to give a quick shout out to Clark Hamilton. His son's birthday was on our original live stream on the 18th there. I think it was the 18th. And I was going to present, he was going to miss the live stream because of the birthday. And we sent down to Florida one of his favorite characters is Luke, of course. So we sent down a Hoth Luke down to little Clark Jr. So happy belated birthday, little Clark, and hope you're doing well. So yeah, why don't we get into? I'm messing up here as a facilitator. Well, why don't we talk a little bit about the Book of Boba Fett? Obviously, we're 3 episodes in. It's OT adjacent, as they call it, right? And it's given us a lot of different characters that we all know so well. All those different aliens. Should I go into a bunch? We got Biths, we got Aqualishes, we got Trandoshans, we got Ithorians, what else? Nyctos, Tuskens. What else do we got? Am I missing any? Jeez. Wookiees. Oh my God. Wookiees. What else? There's so many different Gamorreans. Jeez. So many different characters from the original trilogy, and we're on Tatooine, or as Boba Fett says, Tatooine. So I'd love to get your guys' reception of the show so far. And yeah, there's been a lot of great stuff out there with some awesome the internet. God bless the internet and the beautiful memes people make. But I wish I had some of those prepared for this, because we could have went through a lovely sideshow of Corey. Just really quick, Corey made one recently, and he said, "Hey, did you know there was a V in Mos Espa? It's actually silent, Mos Vespa."
Boo! No puns.
So hey, let's start with Tim.
Oh no! Starting with me.
It's been kind of a roller coaster.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it in the most part. I do have issues with it, I've got to say. I don't think it hit me as good as the Mandalorian did. I think there's some pacing issues with it. Sometimes I think it's just a little bit slow, and I'm not talking about the speeder chase because that was slow, but just in general, it's a bit slow. I don't know. Maybe some of the sort of speaking scenes just need to sort of hurry up a bit. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wanting a bit more action. I don't know. But in the main, I'm enjoying it. I think it's good. The last episode was, for me, the worst of the three so far. The second episode by far was the best. And yeah, I just found that the whole speeder thing just a bit weird. I've got to admit, there's a lot of things going on there with, like, those people not being able to afford water, and they've got all these jazzed up mobility scooters, and it felt like a cross between Vespers and American Graffiti kind of thing. I don't know, like Chevys, or just weird. And I think if you were to put those in Coruscant, for example, it probably would have, people wouldn't have said anything. But the fact that it's in Tatooine and everything else is like quite grimy and everything, it's and that brings me on to another thing as well. Sometimes I think the production level isn't. Sometimes the buildings look a little bit too clean or fake, even. I don't.
Yeah, that seems kind of like even across the Marvel universe and those shows, it's it's not a movie budget.
No.
And
I think when they were talking about using that volume thing technology, when they sort of showed you how they used it with the Mandalorian, I was like, I didn't need to see how you did that, because I was totally in there. I was immersed. And then since I know that's how they use it, sometimes I look at the scene and I think that doesn't look right. And the one scene that I noticed it most in the Mandalorian was the worst episode, I think, with Fennec Shand, when she's doing the sniper at them and she ends up having that fight with that Coruscant guy or whatever. That bit where they're fighting on that rocky thing just does not look real at all. It looks like a set, and it just didn't look real to me. And I think some of the Book of Boba Fett suffers with that same thing. But as I say, in general, I don't want to hit on it too much because I know Chris is loving it, and also, I am enjoying it. Every episode I like some things, but the last episode just had, Black Chrysanthemum though. Wow, I mean, who doesn't like that? That's cool. The Rancor was cool. Those two things saved that episode for me. But that whole sort of scene there was a bit like Canto Bite for me. It just wasn't necessary. You didn't need it. Get out of here, sort of thing. Anyway, that's me.
You got a fourth Rancor keeper now.
Yeah, well, he'd be a good figure, wouldn't he?
Tim's living proof that you don't want to see how the sausage is made, with his explanation.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
That's very true. My brother used to love sausages when he was a kid. They were his favourite food. And then the school took him to a sausage factory to show them how. And he came back and he said, "I'm never eating sausages again." He still doesn't eat them now. Whereas me, I'm like, whatever. That's true.
You ruined it. What about you, Jason? How do you feel about the show?
I'm pretty much in the same boat. First episode was decent. It kind of got you acclimated to the style of the show. Second episode obviously was, like Tim's, was my favorite of the three. A lot of that had to do with the length, just because they got to tell more story in it, and it didn't feel so condensed, and
it was like an hour long.
Right. It was a damn near an hour, and I just felt I'm not a big fan of Robert Rodriguez as a director anyway. He has his style, and I think we all kind of know what it is. But that second episode was directed by someone different. So I think that had a lot to do personally with me liking that episode more. It just felt tighter, even though it was longer. the like Tim said also about those speeders, everyone has been mocking those since Wednesday. If those speeders would have been speeder bikes or something that wasn't so, I don't know, upscale looking compared to where they are, I think it would have made more sense, or it would have wouldn't have been as jarring, I think. I'm also not a fan of cameos or using people that you fully recognize as actors from something else in a lot of Star Wars stuff, just because I know who Danny Trejo is, and I know who Stephen Root is. You know, it's just like I see these people, and that's who I see, and I see who they've played before. I don't see the person they're playing now.
Yeah.
So
Hell for love.
right. And like the major domo, that character, that actor, he played the vice president's husband on Veep. And for people who don't know what that is, it was a show on HBO, and that's all I see when I watch him on screen when he's in Book of Boba Fett. So it's not that they're not good actors or anything. It's just that the cameo or the using known talent for a lot of some of these smaller roles throws me. I think the show has a lot of potential. They showed the potential. I like the flashback stuff works perfectly for me. I think that tells a story that I want to see. The stuff that's what's kind of real time is not as interesting to me. I like seeing where he came from and how he got out of the Sarlacc and how he was with the Tuskens. That is far more interesting to me than the real time portion of the show.
Yeah, there was this emotional connection that you were drawn to with how he built. He was kind of brought into the tribe, right? Brought into that Tusken tribe, and he was trying to help them become warriors like they were in the past, and and then obviously, I think in this last episode, you saw that emotion where he feels kind of responsible for what happened to them, and that part was phenomenal. I thought that was great story writing, but the other stuff was kind of there's not. I think, Jason, we talked a little about the whole scale, and I think Tim was kind of talking about that. Like the scale's kind of off a bit, and I think that's hard to adjust with some of these shows. Is sometimes the scale's not there that you want to see, and the acting's not always there, which I don't know. For me, sometimes Fennec Shand, it's like tough to. No offense to Ming-Hua, it's just like she's like announcing her lines and telling Boba like what he should already know half the time. But maybe that's just her illustrious past, and she knows more than just being a bounty hunter. Who knows? Maybe we'll learn more about that. Yeah, man, that's a lot of interesting points. And what about you, Mr. Tuna, Mr. Big Tuna?
So I absolutely love it. I've loved everything. I've loved all 3 episodes. And one thing I want to say is, because this has always bothered me when people talk about Star Wars, I think the criticisms of the show are completely valid. I mean, those Vespas were stupid. It just doesn't bother me. So I think there's 2 things. The criticism can be valid and not bother. That's where I am. They don't bother me because I am completely sucked into this show. One thing that I think is fascinating is Robert Rodriguez directed that Tython episode, so he fully knows how well Boba Fett, kicked everybody's butt all over the place, all the Imperials, and now he's, Boba Fett's not that, not a bad man anymore. So there's a little bit of disconnect from Mandalorian season 2 to the Book of Boba Fett, and how do you reconcile that? Well, for me, I'm seeing like on that Tython, he had a grudge with the Empire. And that's why, so it's kind of like, rage-fueled, combat. And if you look at it, and, I've said to all of you privately, I think setting up the Pikes in both timelines, that's where we're going to see the bad man Boba Fett comes in, because he's going to, he's got some rage from the Pikes from blowing away his Tusken tribe. and it's going to manifest in the current timeline. So I think it's a little bit of a slow simmer, the show, and I can just see it's going to pay off big time by the end of this. But like I said, I'm completely sucked into this. Like my biggest gripe is that when I put the episode on, I look at the runtime, and then I'm checking the clock. I'm like, oh no, it's almost over. I don't want it to end. I want these episodes to go on for 2 hours. So I'm completely sucked into it. But like I said, I don't care what the best position. Stupid. Have you seen those kids with the pants where the crotches are at the knees? Stupid things exist in our world. There's just stupid kids in the Star Wars world.
Kids wearing those Boba Fett pants. I don't get it.
Exactly.
Well, one other thing I've noticed too, and I hate to say this, but like it's like a bunch of 50-plus-year-old actors in a lot of these shows, and it's like there's like no young people. So the best crew is welcome for me.
That's why I don't mind Boba Fett not being as so much of an action hero, because he's an old man. That would actually pull me out of the story a little bit. I can't watch the Taken movies. You have 92-year-old Liam Neeson kicking the butt out of like young men. It like pulls me out of the story every day. I didn't watch the new Death Wish. Not only is it a 90-year-old Bruce Willis, he's like 5 foot tall. And I don't want to see him beating up much younger athletic men. It would pull me out of the story. So I don't mind Boba Fett being a little bit detuned from the last time we saw him, assuming that at some point he'll get an adrenaline rage and kick into gear.
Yeah, and he's done with bounty hunting now, isn't he? He's moving on to become this sort of like, he called himself I didn't like it when he called himself a crime lord. That was a bit weird, but essentially he's trying to run things. So that's and make sure everyone respects him and whatever. What I would say as well, sorry, before we move on to somebody else, but I don't like the fact that he takes his helmet off too much. Like when he's outside, he should have his helmet on all the time. He should never take the thing off, because he should be that sort of imposing person. It humanizes him too much, I think.
Do you know who else doesn't like that?
Just keep it on.
Do you know who else doesn't like that?
What's that? Who?
Joe Johnson. He complained about that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, right.
He's demystifying Boba Fett too much.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something I noticed. It's like, I think the mystery around him that we've all known, and we always, then we found out that it's basically a clone of Jango Fett under there the whole time or whatever. But, the fact, and also his teeth, his teeth put me off. Man, has he got, he's too much whitener on those teeth. They're like,
Well, to be fair, also
decent toothpaste in Tatooine.
Django had his helmet off a lot in Attack of the Clones, and
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
just not during battle, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm going to stop taking off my helmet.
Right. If he would have had his helmet on half of those times, he could have just jetpacked out of there.
Right.
I see John's comment on there, but you can't go by that because there's age jumps in Star Wars all over the place. Going from the Phantom Menace to Attack of the Clones, Padme ages like 1 year and Anakin ages 10. From there, and then you got Aunt Beru. She's a young lady, and then she gets involved with Luke. Suddenly she's 50, 60 years old. The next time you see her, so
double sons, man.
Yeah, he does things to people.
And we're going to get it with Obi-Wan, aren't we? So like Obi-Wan at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
20 years later, he's like aged 40 years or whatever.
Right.
I hope he's got a beautiful beard like Jason. Yeah, brother. Nice, man. So yeah, all good stuff. We'll see where it goes, and kick back. Hopefully it's just entertaining, and hopefully you guys, all of us, can enjoy it with our family. Just a quick story. I've been getting up really early for work, and I watched it at like 6 a.m. on Wednesday, and my daughter heard it on, and she like stormed out. I was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You're watching this without me?" It's like my 8-year-old daughter. And I was like, "I'm sorry, I need to watch it now, or something's gonna get ruined for me if I don't watch it right now." And I was like, "I'll watch it again with you later." And my wife was like, "We'll watch it 5 more times later." And I was like, "Yeah, you got me."
But saying that, John, I think it's like, I don't know whether it's an intentional thing, but I think it's definitely aimed at a slightly different audience than The Mandalorian, because of Baby Yoda is missing. Like my daughter and my wife watched The Mandalorian with me the whole 2 seasons and look forward to watching it.
Yeah.
Probably because of how cute Baby Yoda was and that sort of connection with, you know, in every episode he did something or whatever. And this show misses that. It doesn't have that. And the only people that watch the Book of Boba Fett is me and my 8-year-old son. And even he says, oh, I'm not kind of enjoying this as much as The Mandalorian. But
she's a daddy's girl. So she's probably watching it, you know, to please me as well. But she was excited for the Rancor. She's a big, you know, as I was saying with the live stream I did with Steve, excuse me. You know, the katana got her into Return of the Jedi, and she loves the first 40 minutes. So the Rancor was a big, you know, big moment for her to be like, oh my God, I got another one. So I don't know if any of you have that experience, but it was nice. It was funny.
I haven't told my family that it's on yet. I don't think they've noticed. I make sure I get up and watch it. You know, I set my alarm at about 3:00 in the morning, and I watch it just so I'm not spoiled, and then go back to bed.
Back to bed.
Yeah.
Back to bed. You have a back to bed?
Yeah, back to bed. Yeah.
Oh, I saw some jokes on that. I was just like, you know, maybe Boba Fett should have told the Gamorreans to not let anyone in when he was back to bed.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
I did wonder, sort of like, you know, that would possibly or should be the most protected place in his palace or whatever. And
he doesn't even have glass windows. It's open air. How
can
it be protected?
Yeah.
Does it have shields or anything? Like someone can fly a ship right into it?
And then all his henchmen turn up, you know.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Where were you 5 minutes ago, you bastard?
Yeah, and Jabba had like 100 people just hanging out, trying to hopefully protect him. Boba's got 5, so not even. The whole relationship with 88 is pretty comical, by the way. That whole little relationship with the droid fearing him and fearing Jabba, and that was pretty fun.
I do like that.
Yeah. So yeah, why don't we go into some of the figures we wanna see? I know I was gonna share a couple things here really quick. 1 second, let me go to this. So, not that one. Don't look at that. So, obviously, one of Wade's. If you guys don't know, Wade Kuhn, Wade's.customs on Instagram. He does a lot of really cool stuff. Some of his stuff is actual figures. Some of it, a lot of it's renders. But he's a great graphic designer. You know, obviously,
Del Griffith is my number one want. Before we go on, that's the one I want the most.
Love it.
Oh, he left the O out. His middle initial is O.
Only you would know that, Chris.
It's on his trunk. When Steve Martin trips over the trunk, it's on there. Del O. Griffith, and so it's dog. And if you look at that movie, he's kind of like the family dog. He's a pain in the ass, but you still love him. Oh, I swore.
That's a
on the live stream.
That's a good point. Ass is never bleeped out on TV. It's if you say the other part of that word, you know.
I won't say the whole word. I won't do that.
So yeah, one of his card backs and figures are obviously kind of, you know, excited the internets, and some people even thought it was real. When we shared this on the Facebook group, we had several people asking that when is this figure coming out?
You can tell it's not real because Hasbro would never pick a cool image like that.
It'd be really dark if they did, maybe. You know?
They'll pick the image from the back to fight.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No,
But
that is a cool image of him.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Let me get rid of this comment here. And let me hit poor Chris. We can't see Chris. There he is.
No, nobody's complaining about that.
See your beautiful mug there, Tuna. Don't you think that?
I'm like Mike Wazowski, covered over in the ad.
So yeah, I know a lot of people were. I mean, when this character debuted, people were screaming for this figure. So, do you guys want this? Do you think they can leverage any tooling from Chewbacca? I know Chewbacca's a pretty old mold. He seems a lot bigger than Chewbacca. I could be wrong. What are your thoughts?
I think we need a new Wookiee mold. I don't think we need to recycle anything from Chewbacca. Maybe the arms. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to tell what he's got going on there. I'd have to look at closer images, but
yeah, and they mustn't use the one from the 3.75-inch Black Series either. Do you know the one I mean? The Memu something or other.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yes,
yep. Mero.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Jason. Yeah.
This one here, this is my number one want from the show. Absolutely.
Me too.
Fantastic. He's just an awesome. I read the comics.
Oh, nice.
And he was great in the comics. So you know.
And he's got his scar from his skirmish with Obi-Wan, right?
Yeah.
Do you think he'll show up in that show, or there's not enough show probably for that to happen? Do you think they introduce characters like this because they can bring them into multiple shows? What do you guys think?
Maybe, yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
The Marvel-ification of Star Wars, where everybody has to cross over. Yeah. I don't mind it, actually.
Yeah. And that was one thing that was kind of off, is that you would think Boba Fett would have been like, hey, you wanna join me?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just let him go.
I remember you from the comics. We should hang out.
Yeah. I could use you. Can you break other people's backs for me?
Can you guard my door for me?
That was kind of weird. He's like, all right, go back to being a gladiator, I guess. And then we, if I can, hold on. And obviously, if we did get a mainline figure, I thought this film out was pretty cool. I'm not sure where that comes from, and I don't know if it's from the poster and you kind of rendered it and updated it, but it's a pretty cool film out.
Yeah, I see them doing a play set with the throne. Be nice.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, and that's the great thing about this show, right? Is obviously the Jabba's palace is pretty bare, but all of the different scenes where you see the alcoves and the rotisserie, and the dungeon. I mean, all that stuff is just screaming back to have some of that stuff back, for whether it's for the Book of Boba Fett or to bring it back for the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi.
Right.
It's painful. And then I thought it was interesting that Wade also chose the Pike leader, so I thought that was a pretty interesting take.
I think we're going to want the grunts more that came off the Starliner. I think that's going to be a better figure.
Reminds me, it's like this would have been like a guaranteed figure back in the day, right? It's like
Magistrate
with all of the Nemoidians that we got,
right,
and just the other barely on-screen characters. I mean, this guy at least has a speaking part. You would have got this no problem.
Yeah, I thought his attention to detail there gave him a helmet and all his other little trinkets there. That was some great stuff. Any other figures you guys?
That guy there, the Pikes, are they the same as the one that's on Kessel,
Yeah.
Ketol site.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
K-Toll site or whatever.
Ketol
Yeah.
site, yeah.
I don't think he had like the alien. I don't think they had that part of the alien in Solo. I'd have to watch it again, but it seemed like they kind of added on to the species there, which was interesting.
I wouldn't mind the Prime Minister, but again, another thing that like I can't say it annoyed me, but like when he spoke, I was like, why couldn't you just sort of make him sound like Jabba or something, but with subtitles? Why did?
Oh,
I know he's got,
the mayor. You're talking about the mayor?
Yeah, sorry. What did I say?
Prime Minister.
Yeah, the mayor. Yeah, same thing.
You gave him a hell of a promotion.
Yeah, the mayor. Yeah, so I know he's got that thing, and it sort of but I don't know. It just seemed a bit off when I first heard it. But
when I said to John, I couldn't understand it because you had that like base of the Thorian language, and then the kind of the high pitched Robert Rodriguez English over it, and it was like canceling each other out for me. I couldn't hear what he was saying, so I completely agree. It would have been better to subtitle it or
But cool character. I mean, whether you'll see him do any more than just sit there, I don't know. But any excuse for a hammerhead, really.
So is the joke real? The mock shays, Mayor mock shays, when you say it quick, Mayor McCheese, is that joke real?
I haven't heard that one.
For McDonald's, yeah. If you say it quick, it sounds like Mayor McCheese.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah, neither would I.
Let's see, another figure. I think I want the Jennifer Beals.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Garza, Madame Garza.
Yeah. No, that's a decent offering. We need Tuscans for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The two the main sort of shaman or whatever they are,
chieftain,
the chieftain, and the
the armorer type person, like the warrior.
Yeah.
I was thinking about them. Like, could they do that with any of the female bucks with like soft goods? Just put it over one of the female bucks they have, and then I'm like, well, she's got that long hair, whatever it is. I'm like, it's going to restrict the movement. It's probably going to restrict the movement of the shoulders. And I was getting mad about a figure that doesn't even exist yet. I was just like thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some great figures.
And the kid would be a good one. I mean,
the kid. Yeah, man. When he threw that little,
he could leverage the Jawa body, just to.
Oh yeah.
Or even the Padawan Anakin that we know they have the tooling because it's coming back out. They could potentially use that.
Right. There was the Gamorrean guards. What do you think of the updates to them? Be like a nice little kit bash.
It makes me feel like I can cosplay Star Wars with no shirt on.
Me too, buddy. Me too.
Again, they're a bit weird, aren't they? Like, I don't understand why that. It's even the same in the the ones that were fighting in the Mandalorian in the ring.
Yeah.
You can almost accept that because they've, like wrestlers or whatever, they've gone down to their just nappies or whatever.
They're female too.
But yeah, they were. But just strolling around, why aren't they wearing what they were before? I don't know, but I'll take a Gamorrean figure looking like that. That's fine.
I did a screenshot when Black Chrysanthemum came out, and there was a Gamorrean in the front, and it was almost like, I hate to say it, an ass shot of the Gamorrean. Like, it was like getting to the point where you can almost see a full butt cheek. I was like, Jesus and Rice, John, what do you got? What are you doing here, Robert? What's going on? It's a new take, and they've been stripped of their armor, like I think we were saying. So I'm game. I'll take a pallet of those sweet, beautiful Gamorreans.
Sorry, Jason, go on.
Sorry, the huts. I like having new huts. That was awesome.
Yeah,
I loved every bit of that, and that little hamster he was using to wipe his sweat.
There was a theory that it's one of the Hoojibs, from the Planet of the Hoojibs, that story back in the 80s?
I
Because
don't know.
it looks like the little white mouse thing, and it's got like a little tentacle type thing off the top of his head, but it just didn't have the long ears. I thought those had long ears, but
Hoojibs. I'm gonna have to look that up. But yeah, man, that would be exciting. And then they were great. They were kind of spooning. They were like opposite directions.
That was weird, brother and sister, and they're kind of entangled.
they're huts.
Yeah,
They're huts. They're going back to Hutta. But yeah, they were pretty cool. Somebody mentioned 88, of course.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What else did we have? We had, of course. Am I still displaying? Oh wait, I gotta go like this, and then let's click on that thing I clicked on 8 times.
Yeah. I was just about to say, how about a Black Series HasLab Rancor?
that's the one. That's the one that attacked the assassin in episode 2. That was the Black Series Rancor. It doesn't exist.
Right.
Oh yeah. It was the mayor. Yeah. Oh.
I've got to admit, I can't wait to see him like riding that thing around, like smashing shit up. Oh,
spoiler!
You're fine.
I want
yeah, man. And I didn't even know, dude. I live under a rock. I guess I didn't even know about the rumors that had come out that I guess that there was a rumor that he was riding a rumor. I didn't even.
I'd never even heard that rumor. I just took it from the fact that he was asking to be trained to ride it.
Wasn't there leak concept art of him actually on the Rancor? I thought there was.
I didn't even know.
I think so. Yeah.
But man, it's a baby. It's a calf, right? It's a calf
Right.
Rancor, so it's not like
A big one.
size. Yeah. So that was. Hey man, I love this part. I love that part. So. Too soon. Never too soon. Would that have helped? Would it have helped to be timed with the release of the show's Rancor?
I
Jason,
don't think it would have harmed it.
It doesn't help me at all because it's not the same Rancor from Return of the
Right.
Jedi, and it's a smaller one. It would not have helped sway me in backing that at all, which I didn't.
Oh, by the way, John said that was fan based art. What I was referring to.
Mr. Lindquist, he's like our fact checker. He's like, love it. You eat, sleep, breathe Star Wars facts. If there was a Jeopardy of Star Wars, John would be. I forget her name right now. That's just like crushing it on Jeopardy. Amy something. Amy Schneider, I think it is. You would be her, John. No contenders. Yeah, good stuff. I'm trying to think of anything else. There was of course the Garza's. That wasn't a cantina. What the heck was it called? Garza's whatever. I'm trying to think. There was the Droopy. Was that Droopy McCool? I don't know. Was that Figure and Dan? I don't know.
You mean Max Rebo?
Oh, what did I say? Did I say Droopy McCool? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Max Rebo.
There's a lot of people that got off that sail barge. If it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I
I
thought
need some of the droids.
The droids. Oh yeah, somebody brought that up earlier. Yep. Ton of droids. I loved seeing that when they were eating, they had that feast, and as we know how Bib Fortuna got that fat, right?
Right.
There was that sweet astromech droid that had the food tray on him. That was very reminiscent of R2 with the tray.
Mm.
Cool. Yeah. You knew. Yeah. See, I remembered her name. Look at that. Make it happen. Trying to think. Anything else, guys? Any other?
None of you have mentioned the gang, the android gang, and
No.
the Vespers. You Not interested in those, no.
If they come in a full box set with their speeders, then yes. But I'm not buying them one at a time. And no.
Exactly. There's a lot of truth to that. I can't stand that. If I get it all at once, if I get the context all at once together, I'll buy it. But I don't want one Knight of Ren. I don't want that ever again. The only thing that bothered them about me with the one cybernetic eye is I got such a strong Borg feeling from that when I saw it.
Yeah, they were pretty interesting. I know there's a lot of hype on that girl, and who was she? You know, who could she be?
Right.
Everyone has to be someone, doesn't they? Do you know what I mean? It's like
I'm glad she isn't.
Yeah.
And there was something recently, right, where Tem Morrison kind of confirmed the name of Slave One as the Fire Sprayer.
Oh yeah.
Another name too, I forget. Fire Sprayer or something.
It's
Gunship.
Yeah. Gunship. Fire Sprayer Gunship. We'll see if we get another one of those and what its name will be. Right. Cool. They could reuse the Vespa tooling with minor alterations between the four. Maybe they'll be cool by the end of the show.
If Boba Fett's riding one of those, yeah, I don't. That's
go
the
to the next comment.
Cool.
There we go. There's the Borg.
Resistance is futile.
They should make his Boba Fett speeder that he stole, or brought back to the Tusken camp.
Yeah. I think we're going to see more of those Nikto bikers, and that would be a cool one, right?
Yeah, I'll take Niktos all day,
I want that swoop too. To me, that's one of the glaring omissions. Is we just need a swoop bike.
Yep, it was missing from the Mandalorian too.
Right.
Yeah, and that's one of the questions we got when I asked the Facebook group, just give us some topics, was how do we get creatures and small vehicles back to the line? I know all of us have been asking, the whole community's been asking for it. How does that happen other than us being really vocal about it? I mean, I know that's probably number one way is be vocal about this stuff. Hasbro's always said, tell us what you want. We hear it enough. We'll do it. Well, they've heard it enough. So what is it going to take? Anyone have any thoughts on that?
My response to this stuff is always, it starts with the retailers, the big retailers, and they don't want to touch it. If Hasbro doesn't have that safety blanket of the big pockets, the deep pockets buying this stuff, they're not going to take the risk on it.
So that was part of this. I put creatures, but I meant creatures and small vehicles. Yeah. Can it live in the line other than, I mean, Chris, you've kind of answered this, but can it live in the line other than it needing to be a HasLab to get done? It seems like everything that can't happen these days has to be a HasLab. A dream. It's become a dream now, so it has to be HasLab. So, Tim, any thoughts there, man? Do we need another petition?
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it? Because you cry out for this, that, and the other, and you give them a good reception when they do things that you like the play sets, and then they kind of go all in on those play sets. So the Jabba's Palace started that off, and they seem to have carried that on as like the world building or whatever. But the absence of creatures and vehicles is starting to annoy me a bit, I must admit. Especially of something like the Blurg, which was in multiple episodes, ridden by multiple different people, and in other media as well. I think it's in Rebels and whatever else. And
we've had Dewbacks come back, and
Blurgs have probably been on screen more than a Tauntaun, for example, haven't they? I'd say, So, I hope they do that at least, especially as Mandalorian isn't a risk, as we've discussed earlier. It's put anything out on the Mandalorian and people will buy it. But as Chris says, it probably does come down to the retailers, which is obviously something, it's not ever something that I'm exposed to living in the UK, because the UK market doesn't dictate what Hasbro does. It's all about the two big retailers in the States.
Yeah, this is an interesting comment here. You know, the Sky Striker funding will hurt fans in the long run, in my honest opinion, as it shows Hasbro they don't need to put vehicles in retail stores. Is that a problem? Is that a medium or small vehicle? Maybe medium. Maybe medium.
That's great. I mean, is the X-wing considered a medium? Because it's about that size.
I would say medium. I mean, I guess we're talking a little more about the small stuff. So I hope.
Right. I mean, because Hasbro, I mean, they obviously have control of what they do for G.I. Joe since they own that, but you know, they put out vehicles for their 3 3/4 inch line now. You know, the different tanks, you know, the Hiss and the Jeep. I can't remember what it's called, but
yeah, and that line is nowhere near as established as the vintage collection, is it? They've only just brought that sort of retro thing. There's only been a few waves of figures, isn't there? And they're already putting out all these vehicles, and then a HasLab for it, and whatever, you know.
Yeah, they just need to say it's all kids stuff, so they buy it. Forget this adult stuff. I'm a 41-year-old kid. Just make it for us.
I guess what we don't know is, has Hasbro pitched those things to retailers and they just passed on them and saying, no, we don't want to carry that type of product. We would rather carry something that's X size and X dollar amount and not do it. And then that kind of forces those things to go the exclusive route, like the Merrick X-Wing and the Slave One going, you know, to Amazon again, you know, or Fan Channel, I guess.
I personally think Hasbro would rather go the other route because there's less they have to do.
Yeah.
What business wouldn't want to? We'll make them. We'll get them to the, you know, to the port of LA, and then you guys take it over. You get it to the customer. There's so much less for them to do. So I think if they could, if it was viable, they would. They will. They will choose that over HasLab every time, in my opinion.
HasLab or Hasbro Pulse and Shop Disney or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
I can't think of a business that wouldn't, you know, do less if they could. And in the case of, you know, mass retail, Hasbro's doing less. HasLab, they're getting it right to your doorstep. There's a lot more they have to do.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess all we can do is just keep hammering them on it.
But do we know, like, for example, how successful the troop transport was, for example? Like, you know, did they go to clearance, or, you know, I still see people now trying to pick one of those up and they can't. Same for that ATST with the figure included. Those go for a lot of money over here now.
That hit clearance at Best Buy. That was the Best Buy exclusive here, and it definitely hit clearance.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't want to click on that one. There you go, Jason.
Yep.
Yeah, man, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Does the deluxe with the eWeb cannon count? Is that kind of that niche?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, get us a Snow Trooper, same way. You know, just kind of expand upon that. If they wanted to, you know, they could get another Mandalorian out of it and throw him in there with the top of that cannon.
Right.
You know, it's just an easy route for them to take with that.
The Mando Raider and ATST hit click. What's the YRT? What does that stand for? Is not 200 plus. Oh, well, I'm going to just talk to the first part of these comments. What's interesting is a lot of the vehicles that have been produced never really sold out, and a lot of them went to clearance, which it makes you think, what was happening there? Why were they producing so many more than what the demand was? Or is it part of that, the collector behavior of waiting for something to cut down in price? That's one observation I had, right? A lot of the vehicles you could buy a year after they were produced, right? Whether it was Poe Dameron's X-Wing, a skiff vehicle, which actually was a pretty decent price point. I mean, you can still get Luke Skywalker's X-Wing on Amazon. So what is going on there, I guess? And what's part of the reason they're like, this stuff isn't selling out? The demand isn't there. So I guess that's more medium vehicles. I guess the Skip is probably a smaller vehicle. I don't know. I would consider that smaller.
Well, maybe now you've removed the children from the line, if you like, because they've got Mission Fleet and whatever, and it's a collector focused line, and people only really care about the figures, maybe, because as we said, like a big portion of the people that collect this stuff are carded collectors, whereas a loose collector as well, I want the vehicles and the world building. And I did the video about the Navarro Cantina, and a lot of people in my comments said, I'll wait for that to go on clearance, purely by looking at it thinking, oh, it's got a cardboard door, it's this, that, and the other. You know, they didn't necessarily think it was value for money. I can't even remember how much it was. Is it $50? Is it? Can't remember. But a lot of people said, I'll wait for that to go to clearance. And I think that mentality for those sorts of, you know, they would never say for, you know, Lumat in a wave, I'll wait for him to go on clearance. You know, they want to get him for the fear of missing out, that they won't get him. But with vehicles and stuff, it seems a bit different, doesn't it? People do wait for him to go for clearance. I don't know whether that's because there's a history of these things going to clearance. They know they'll be able to get them cheaper.
And really quick before Chris chimes in, I know with Merrick they changed that strategy, right? Put a figure in, make him maybe a little more limited, exclusive to one store. And the ATST, kind of a similar thing, right? The Raider with the Klatooinian, packing a figure in there. So is that more of that strategy? And if we do see that stuff going forward, will it have that kind of niche to one retailer with a figure, possibly a carded figure? And that's the only way we'll see it. So, I'm sorry, Chris, I know you're going to say something.
Well, they've all gone to clearance. Even the BMF in 2007 hit clearance. The turbo tank hit clearance. The attack shuttle hit clearance. Everything hits clearance. So people wait for clearance, and it's not good. It's not good for the prospects of getting more of that stuff. Even the small stuff, the Target land speeder and Tauntaun hit clearance by me. You know, they all hit clearance. So certain people wait for it, and that just damns the future prospects of it. Yeah. That's I think the slow trickle in kicking in FOMO with Antox Merrick's X-Wing. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I think it's paying dividends. You know, people are buying it full price because they don't know if they're going to get another chance at it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think the problem too is it seems, I don't know, this could be, just the crazy thoughts of a Star Wars collector, is it seems like Star Wars goes to clearance very faster than most things. And I think that might just be me, focusing in on just Star Wars. But I mean, I think this He-Man stuff was out forever. And then it's finally going on clearance, where it seems like any Star Wars product, it's there for a couple weeks. And then next thing you know, Walmart and Target are clearancing it. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I think He-Man suffers with its own problems. I don't collect it, but I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, when I go to store, all I see is He-Man and Skeletor." That the other characters that they want, they can never find them, and they're just the two that's peg warming essentially, because obviously they're the two main characters. But so it's not just Star Wars that suffers from these issues, is it?
Yeah, it's well, hopefully they can figure some pretty cool stuff out, where we can see a swoop bike, a speeder bike, and some other smaller vehicles like that, and all the other things mentioned, even some of the things just mentioned. So, yeah.
But I know it's so easy to say, but if they do those things, we as a community have to vote with our dollars. We have to buy it. If you want it, buy it. Don't wait for clearance, and support those offerings.
Yeah.
I say, go ahead, Jason.
I was gonna say, a lot of time, I buy most things that I want at full price, and then I buy more when they go on clearance or
Right.
sales.
I was gonna say that. I was just gonna
Just
say
like
that. Yep.
I've got probably 6 of the 10 of V4 play sets. You know, I bought the first one at regular price. I think I bought the first 2 at regular price because I wanted to be able to combine them, and it included the guard or the troopers. So it was, you know, nice to have both of those. But then, you know, I'll buy those play sets for $30 all day long, you know, and they even hit $20. Some of the smaller clearance shops, like Tuesday Morning, I think was the one I heard that they were hitting there for 20.
Yeah.
I'd buy those all day at that price. So it's not just about waiting for clearance. It's about buying them for regular price and maybe picking a couple extra.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, man. I always support it at retail, and then afterwards, if it happens to hit clearance, I'll snatch 1 or 2 more. So, good call. Yeah. Cool. I think one more topic I'd love to talk about that it gets brought up a lot when we want more in the line, and people start asking for this. They want to see a 3.75-inch line that is not as articulated or possibly as decoed out as TVC, but at a $10 price point. So, you know, there could be certain, let's say, secondary, tertiary characters or characters that don't warrant that articulation or deco that could be put in this. And that could be there. So there's always a Mandalorian on the pegs. That's some of the comments I've heard, that there's a price point that, you know, Susie can buy something for her child, Joey or Sarah, and it's at a price point that she can rationalize as affordable for her kids in 3 3/4-inch line. So, and that would try to help us get more out there. Chris.
Susie's going to buy Mission Fleet because you can have vehicles for $40. That's what Susie's going to buy. Susie's not going to buy a $10 3 3/4-inch figure. Mission Fleet is the value line, and it's very successful. It fills that niche and perfectly.
Right. You know, thinking as a parent, you would have to find that balance if there was such a, you know, they did at one point have a quote unquote 5 POA 3 3/4-inch line running alongside the vintage collection, and ultimately, you know, they cannibalized each other essentially, because, you know, when you have 2 of the exact same figures on the pegs, one for $5 more than the other, you're going to go for the cheaper one for your kid who doesn't care necessarily as much as the collector like us about articulation and enhanced photorealism and deco and all that stuff. So, you know, I think that's, like Chris said, the Mission Fleet is the, yeah, you get multiple figures in a set, whether, you know, like the Bad Batch set, you may not get all of the crew because they're smart and they put one of those figures in another box. So you have to get that one in order to complete your crew. And then now you have vehicles and you've got a bunch of figures that can interact with them, and they don't have a comparable Razor Crest for 3 3/4-inch line at retail. They have a smaller one because they know these kids aren't going to spend $100 plus for a retail quote unquote version when there's this $350 one that they couldn't get either, you know. So like I said, having the Mission Fleet line, I think it serves that purpose as being something available for kids or collectors that don't want super articulated.
And the important thing to remember is 3 3/4-inch doesn't exist because that's the size the figure should be. 3 3/4 inch exists because that was the size where they could make affordable vehicles
Right.
back in 1978. So it was driven from the vehicles backwards. Doesn't matter how articulated the figures are, the vehicles are going to be too expensive for kids and families at that scale. Even if it's a dumbed down vehicle, we saw it. Nobody wanted they were mini rigs, that they did towards the end of, with the Harrison dual A-wing with the Nerf gun. They were tiny. People don't want that. So it's really the vehicles drive it. And in order to get affordable vehicles for families, it goes down to that mission fleet scale, which is what, 2.5 inches?
Right.
2.5.
So it's the vehicles that drive that thing, not the figures. The $10 3 3/4 inch figure is an adult sensibility, so it really is. So you can, stockpile your figures cheaply.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, when Black Series 3.75 was around, there wasn't a premium, let's say, TVC line at the same time. But that's where Hasbro said, okay, we're going to try to listen to fans, do something around $10. And they degraded sculpting a bit, right?
No, they paint apps was the big thing I noticed.
Well, I was just going to say.
The Captain Rex, yes, the Captain Rex was a regression. We had the VC45 was not Fordo. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. That was a better figure than the Captain Rex that came afterwards. So they did go back in, articulation and sculpting, but the paint deco went way back.
Well, I was going to say it was that. It was the paint deco.
Yeah.
The packaging.
Right.
Assistant package line. Everything was pretty much.
Yeah. The first bubble gate back in Black Series in 2013.
Yeah, stapled bubbles and all. But yeah, so that kind of it wasn't well received in some ways, right? Because of all of that. So.
No, when people say they, back then when they said they wanted $10 figures, no, they wanted vintage collection figures to cost $10. Right. They didn't want what $10 bought in 2013. It was largely rejected.
Yeah. So I think it's just a good conversation to have, right? Because people say, well, if the one way we can get more is do a, and this is a lot of loose collector type mentality too. And again, I'm a loose collector as well, but to think of getting more in the line, they were willing to compromise, and I'm not saying 5 POA, it was like more of 10 to 14 POA anyway, at a $10 price point. And I think people don't understand how much that tooling and then the paint deco really costs. And sometimes that paint deco can be a lot more costly than even the tooling. So, hey, we all want more. It's just you don't want it to hurt our beloved PC. Right?
And as I've always said, I think we all know. I mean, this figure doesn't need modern vintage collection articulation, in my opinion. We all know that. Lobot could have been, swivel hips and all that stuff. That would have been fine. We know that. I don't trust corporate Hasbro to make these decisions. I just don't. We'll get a figure, that really needs the articulation, and they'll see him as a C-level character, and they won't give it to him.
Yeah, but he just screams. They nailed it. And if they didn't do it with all of this articulation and the paint deco and the likeness, I mean, it'd be scary to see what would happen. You're right, Chris. So
I do think that there is like a vintage collection tax though as well, because they do know it's like a collector focus line, and the people buying it have got, I don't know, disposable incomes or whatever. So maybe some people are sort of thinking like I don't know, like a Saga Legends line or something that's, standard packaging, not too much in the terms of design, nothing vintage about it, and in the most part repainted figures that they've already got the sculpts for. Perhaps maybe that's your 10, 11 figures, you know, to run alongside it. But then again, like, would people buy those? Like, is the market there for those types of figures now? Because I know a lot of, and this goes back to like if they change the packaging to not including the bubble and what have you. If you took away the vintage collection, what would happen to 3.75? Probably go away, I think.
I think people, when they get like, you know, starved of something they're used to, they're willing to make irrational decisions to get more. And you know, this Bib Fortuna. I mean, if I'm a fan of the soft goods, first of all, and
oh my god, what
the
a figure that is.
deco, and then those hinged wrists. I mean, if he didn't have that, he couldn't do. Chris, what's the thing he does? Come on, give us a good impression.
I never did a Bib Fortuna impression. I don't know where you got it.
Come on, you've done it for me.
Do-cha.
Yeah, you know, you can't.
I don't think there's any doubt, like, especially that last wave. I mean, my God, the quality of every figure in that wave is off the grid. Bo-Katan, so good. Bib Fortuna, amazing. Lobot, amazing. It's just such a great figure, you know. The standard of that wave is, you know, we'd love every wave to be like that. God.
So let me ask you guys with that. You know, we had six distinct figures in the last assortment. Do you see that going forward? And do you think 8 figures is not enough in an assortment anymore? Should it be back to 12?
That's a tough one, because then if you go to 12, it's just the perception thing. The price per case goes up so high, and we're all ordering by the case now, you know, from online retailers. So you're adding another 50% on the price of the case. So what does that take it to 150?
Yeah,
so that's a tough one. You know, I know what you're saying, because I want more than one Bib Fortuna, one Lobot, and one Mithril per case.
You can get two of each figure per case, and it'd be potential for some carry forwards.
Yeah. Well, they won't do carry forwards anymore. They've said that they couldn't figure out what makes sense, you know, so they've given up doing that.
Yeah, so it's great, but it was like, oh man, I only got one Lobot and one Bib Fortuna in this case. I need one carded, one loose.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on that, Tim?
Well, over here we don't really have assortment cases, really. I mean, all the retailers that I've known have always bought solid cases. So we've got Smith's, which is a retailer. I think they get mixed assortment cases now. But I mean, I'll buy it all, man. I don't really care how they do it, what they do. If the figures are as good as the previous wave, I just want more of that, you know. And I like the fact that there was a good mix in there as well. You got some from the OT, you got some from the Mandalorian. We've had Clone Wars recently, and looking at the projection for this year of what's coming, there's more Clone Wars, which is good. There's obviously more Mandalorian with those deluxe packs and everything. The OT will probably suffer a little bit this year, I imagine, compared to previous years. But I can understand Chris's point about we are buying by the case, aren't we? So
yeah, Jason, any thoughts on that? Do you think
I think a lot of it has to do with what they could fit on a peg. You know, like you take, you know, you have 8 figures to a case, and that whole case could go right on one peg, and that's an easy way for them to sit, you know, count and figure out dollar wise, this is how much retail space costs. And you know, obviously you could have a peg that was 4 inches longer to fit 12 figures on it, but I don't know, maybe it's just a math thing and a price per square foot kind of a thing that they can easily figure you know, this case fits on this peg, and they've got, you know, two pegs, and so that's 2 cases, and it just keeps the numbers round, and they go that route.
Didn't even think of that. Yeah. Hey, I'm just looking out for you, Tuna. I want you to see that, you know, that figure you want on the pegs there, you know?
Yeah, that dream is gone.
The Gonk Droid dream is gone.
That one still hurts. Because I can remember getting that back in '78, and I just wanted to find it in stores.
I didn't see it either, my friend. So, and like I said, hey, you know, Michelle and I, we can work something out, you know, where I can try to put something on the pegs and be hiding, you know, in some toy aisle for you to, if you need to really see something on the peg, maybe we'll figure something out. Cool, guys. Well, I know we're around 2 hours, so why don't we end the live stream with our favorite figure of the year, our favorite couple figures of the year. So, Chris, I know you had an article on Bantha Skull about this. So why don't you go ahead and give us kind of your highlights for the year and the figure you're just the most excited for and happy for.
So I'm going off of the budget year, not the calendar year. So that excludes the Bo-Katan wave with Bib Fortuna and Lobot. So for me, the best figure of the year by far and away was the Episode 5 Lando. I think they absolutely nailed that figure. Yeah, that one. That to me, that's the best figure of the year. The release that excited me the most, because I was beginning to think it wasn't going to happen, would be the Purge Trooper. I'm still in disbelief that the vintage collection did not get the Purge Trooper as part of Triple Force Friday, because it was, you know, at the time I was thinking they could reuse the Airborne Trooper from the TAC line. Thank God they didn't, because that sculpt's now pretty dated. So that's the one that excites me the most. But my favorite figure of the year is obviously the Ep6 Boba Fett.
Nice. What about you, Jason?
I mentioned this when I was on with SWTVC. I think it's kind of a toss-up, but I'm more heavily weighted toward the Ahsoka that came out. It's just a fantastic figure. It captures her likeness, and as far as her animated stature and everything, just perfectly, I think. Maul is a very close runner-up to that, just because they're kind of a pair. They kind of go together because of that whole season 7 arc. It's really one of my favorite figures, and I like Ahsoka a lot anyway. If I had to choose maybe one more, it would probably be that Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, just because it was a needed retool of that figure. I mean, we've had a lot of Boba Fetts over the years, and I think that even though the OTC, or the OTC, not OTC, the VOTC one was a pretty decent figure by those standards, this one improved upon it quite a bit. So I'd say those are like my top 3 for the year.
Yeah, and all those drops were pretty exciting. One of them might have been dropped by you.
Maybe.
Tim and I can just go together, right? I mean, right? That was kind of, well, this was my favorite of the year, and I mean, from the point of, I have one next to my Slave One on my desk, one in the Katana, one on one of those Hasbro stands. Let me get it. So I can, flying over the skiff, you know, which these are pretty cool, by the way. I don't know if you guys have ordered any of these. You can order a 3-pack on Hasbro Pulse. And what else? I have a Jabba's throne room I haven't opened up yet, but I'd love to display that with him next to Jabba as well in the throne room. So for me, that's like, oh man, I can open so many of these and display them. And then the carded figure was so nice, even with the mustard yellow. Card back.
Damn you, Tim. It's all your fault.
Jedi Temple Archives' fault, as we well know, Chris.
Yes.
Well,
So-
I'm going to include, if I include the wave, I have to include the wave because I did get it in 2021.
Yeah, go for it.
For me, as much as that, look, the Fett is the best figure, but that Bo-Katan is, the facial sculpt on that is bordering on ridiculously good. It's just unbelievable how accurate that thing is. It's just crazy good.
Yeah.
Better than the Black Series, in my opinion. I think the Black Series ones looks a bit like RoboCop without his helmet on, a bit like Murphy. I just couldn't believe how good they'd got that one, and fully articulated, really good. I have got a soft spot for IG-11 as well. I think what you can do with that figure is great.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's an honorable mention for me. I mean,
it just moves exactly like he does in the show. They've nailed it completely. So
yeah, when you can do the same thing with a 3 3/4 inch figure that you can do with a Hot Toys figure, it's a home run in my book. So
Yeah.
Good point.
But yeah, the Fett is the best figure, and also because they can use it so many times over, can't they? I mean, they've given us the droids. I presume most of it will be used for that Death Watch Mando, maybe, or a lot of it will be, maybe, I don't know, but
Him or Mando, yeah, maybe, yeah. Good call on that. We'll see. Nice, guys. Well, hey, I've had a blast. I want to just thank all three of you for, again, taking time out of your busy week, your weekend, and with your family, and to sit here and talk some Star Wars. Again, you guys all do just so much. Chris, from your daily articles, the humor,
Semi-daily now.
semi-daily. I always just get a laugh, man, and you bring a lot of joy. And Tim, man, I don't know how you're cranking out all those videos, dude. You are cranking them. Those hands are getting a lot of work. So yeah, man. And then Jason, all that news, dude, all that information. And dude, you're like an honorary admin moderator in our Facebook group. So thank you for constantly answering questions. I think sometimes we just approve posts and then just Jason answers them. It's like, I don't think this is how it works, but thank you, Jason.
Absolutely.
So yeah, again, thank you for everything you guys do. I don't know how you do it, how you balance everything out. And it's been a blast. I really appreciate you guys coming on and hanging out.
Well, it was fun. Appreciate it. Glad we got back to be able to do it.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully this won't be the last. Maybe we'll get on a live stream of Tim's, or I know Jason, you've done one every now and then. So
yeah, definitely. I'll be doing more of those this year. 100%. Yeah.
Cool.
Always good. Guys. Always good for you. Always good to have you guys as guests every time.
Yes. And Tuna, what do you got? Any closing thoughts?
No, just as always, thank you. It's always an honor, especially with this group. I feel humbled to be included amongst the three of you.
Oh, geez. Likewise. So yeah, hey, everyone out there that's been, in the discussion, watching the live stream, we greatly appreciate you guys hanging out, all of your thoughtful comments, and until the next one, may the force be with you.
See you, everyone.
See you, folks.